After 3 weeks chasing sunrises and ancient tides through the heart of Thailand, our sandals were dusty and our hearts were full. We rode long-tail boats across emerald waters, wandered through island dreams where the rocks rose like temples and the fish danced in the shallows. We ate from beach shacks and banquet halls, but the journey wasn't quite done. With 2 nights left, we returned to the heart of Bangkok. We traded in our salt and sandals for soft robes and marble floors. This is the story of our return to Bangkok, a final adventure through the ghostly beauty of Ayutthaya and the long road home to our off-grid life in the wild stillness of Australia. The flight was just over an hour, but emotionally it felt like we were passing through a portal between worlds, from bare feet in the sand to polished hotel floors and high-rise skylines. I felt a little bit like Crocodile Dundee staying in this hotel, but I definitely didn't sleep on the floor. The Marriott had kindly stored our luggage for us while we were off exploring the islands. We had saved the very best for last. We'd really splurged on this final stay after living light for weeks. It was time for a little indulgence. The room was something else. Impeccably designed, a view of Bangkok's skyline glittering like a jewel box at dusk, and the bathroom alone was a sanctuary, with marble everywhere.
And a phone in the toilet. Oh my gosh, this looks like a good toilet compared to the ones we've been using.
It's the small things that mean a lot. By mid-morning, Mr. In pulled up outside, our favourite driver. Seeing his familiar grin felt like seeing an old friend.
You want to have breakfast first, right?
Yeah.
I will recommend buns. Very nice.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Food is very nice. This is pork.
You said the chicken one.
When we reached Ayutthaya, Mr. In took us to a place to get some breakfast.
Good?
And they had a toilet that I found particularly fascinating and confusing. Then it was time to step into history. Ayutthaya's ruins are silent, but they speak volumes. At Wat Yai Chai Monghorn, we stood before a great white reclining Buddha. His body stretched long and still beneath the open sky. He expressed calm, almost smiling. There was something holy in the air, something ancient. And though the city around him had burned, he remained grace carved in stone. This Buddha looks like it's been newly renovated and painted. The historical park felt like walking into a forgotten prayer. Tall Chedis pierced the sky like arrows of stone, and headless Buddhas lined the paths, silent witnesses to centuries of change and war.
They're pretty cool though.
All around the temple walls, it seemed there were thousands of Buddha statues, row upon row, sitting in silence, some worn by weather, and others still shining. It was like being surrounded by an army of calm, a quiet testament to belief so old it no longer needs words.
Welcome, greeting. Welcome to Ayutthaya. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Bucket at the bottom with money here, really.
Hold in the corner and put in the part of the Buddha. This year, you will happy when you do that. This is the way of my
We heard a Thai guide speak softly to his group. He said, "If you want happiness this year, place something small in the palm of the Buddha." He didn't say it like a rule, but like a whisper of truth, a practice as old as breath. It's the way of the Thai people to give gently, not for reward, but to set an intention. A coin, a flower, a folded paper of wishes, left in the Buddha's hand as a quiet hope, not a demand, not even a prayer, just a gesture that says, "I'm here, I'm grateful, I'm trying." I don't know if this brings happiness, but I know that in stillness, with incense thick in the air and the bells chiming faint in the distance, the world felt soft enough for it to be possible. Ayutthaya, once a kingdom of power and grace, a city of over 1 million souls before most of the world even knew its name. Now it stands quiet, its bones of brick and stone still breathing beneath banyan trees and golden skies. It wasn't just ruins, it was a sacred echo. Ayutthaya was the capital of Thailand for some time, but it came to a brutal end when it was attacked by the Burmese. Much of the city was devastated by fire, and those who were not killed were taken by the Burmese, forced into slavery. The city fell in 1767, I believe, and most of the city was destroyed, and what is left of these relics and temples are still found in Ayutthaya today, of which there are about 50, I think. Many of the palaces were made of wood which did not withstand the fires that destroyed the capital, which is why mainly stone temples remain. The temples have their own Siamese style, but they also drew upon the inspiration from Indian architecture. There are also some instances of Khmer architecture as well, because the capital started out as a Khmer military and trading outpost. It's a great day trip for those who are staying in Bangkok and have a couple of days to spare, and for people who love the ancient history. I believe that you can get a bus from Bangkok to Ayutthaya, and that would be much cheaper than hiring a private driver like we did, which I think cost about $150 for the whole day for 4 of us. But I believe there's also a train that goes back and forth from Bangkok and Ayutthaya as well. It actually sounded like they were doing a lot of renovations in the area as well. Being around all these ruins reminded me of my time back in Italy, in Rome, with my girlfriends, and looking around the areas close to the Colosseum. And I was feeling very nostalgic. Before entering a temple in Thailand, you take off your shoes, not because someone tells you to, but because it's the way things are, the way things have always been. You leave them at the threshold, lined up beside the sandals of strangers, and step barefoot into the sacred. The Thai people believe that the feet are the lowest part of the body, not just physically, but spiritually. So to carry dirt or dust into a place of worship would be like shouting into a song. The temple is holy ground, and you meet it with respect and humility. Ayutthaya was quiet, but not empty. You could feel the breath of history in your bones. Stone walls broken by time, temples still standing in defiance of it, and the white reclining Buddha lay in peace, as if even eternity needs to rest. I don't usually share travel films. Most of the time I'm showing you the slow life, off-grid days in the Australian bush, where we live in a shed and chase the seasons with our hands in the dirt. We try to live simply, grow what we can, and tread softly on the land. Planes and fancy hotels, they aren't usually part of our world. It had been 13 years since we've gone overseas together as a family. 13 years of raising boys, building a home, and doing our best to live a little lighter. This trip was a rare one, a promise kept, a story we needed to live together. And for those of you who'd followed us through this Thailand journey, thank you. This is our last travel chapter. And for those of you who've watched us for our off-grid life, we really appreciate your patience while we wandered. We've got so many important updates to share now that we're home again, so stay close. We'll see you in the next video under the wide skies and gum trees, where the quiet winds still speak and the garden is waiting.
The Khmer Rouge built that. So the Khmer built that one.
Yeah.
And there's 2 of them supposedly.
How did you find that out?
Because I was following a tour guide.
You were listening in?
Yeah.
For free?
Yeah. And I said to Eli, we should just walk around with them. He said, no.
They catch on to that pretty quickly. As we walked those broken paths, past headless statues and shattered Chedis, I couldn't help but wonder what it must have been like to live here before the fall, before the fire, when Ayutthaya still stood proud, a shining city of gold where monks chanted prayers at sunrise and kings ruled from high palaces. Then came the siege. 14 long months, 14 months of fear tightening around the people like a noose. Food would have run low, families would have whispered in the dark. Mothers would have held their children closer, not knowing if the dawn would bring arrows or mercy. When the walls finally gave way, the Burmese army flooded the city. They looted temples, burned libraries, and brought centuries of beauty to its knees. The golden spires turned to ash, statues were beheaded, monks slaughtered, and yet somehow the spirit of the place did not die. Even now, the ruins still speak. You can feel the sorrow in the silence, but also something stronger, a kind of grace that survived the fire, a resilience etched into every stone. We wandered through Wat Mahathat, where a single Buddha's head sat cradled by the roots of a Bodhi tree, gentle, eternal, as if the earth itself had chosen to protect him. This haunting image of the Buddha's head gently cradled in the roots of this tree, nature grown around it, not consuming but embracing, it felt symbolic, how even in ruin, peace finds a place, how time, given long enough, can soften even stone. It was the Buddha's head in the tree that caught my heart, wrapped in roots like a mother holds her child. I stood there a long time, wondering if maybe the tree had loved the Buddha so much it grew around him to keep him safe. We were walking slowly through the ruins, still carrying the quiet of the temples in our bones, when we passed a man, Western, older, with a young Thai woman, I think. He wasn't looking at the history carved in the stone, nor the faces of the Buddhas who'd watched centuries unfold. He held up his phone and pointed it, not at the ruins, but at her body, at her backside to be exact, framing her like a prize, not a person. The moment passed in a breath, but it sat heavy on my chest. In a place so full of grace and reverence, it felt like a crack in the story, like something sacred had been overlooked. Not just the ruins, but her. Not all visitors come seeking beauty. Some only come seeking to own it. We visited more ruins nearby, just blocks apart, but each held its own soul, some broken, some proud. but all of them alive with memory.
This is called Ratchaburana Temple. This is quite nice also.
Yeah.
Mr. In pronounces everything much better than me, obviously. Ayutthaya wasn't just ruins, it was remembrance, shaped by stone and softened by time.
Is that Mr. In's umbrella?
Yeah, this is the free one at the front that you can get. There's about 30 at the front.
The lady's dressed up.
You see, there would have been a big Buddha there.
Apparently, Ayutthaya was laid out according to a systematic and rigid city planning grid, consisting of roads, canals and moats all around the principal structures. And these steps were very steep and narrow and scary, but the view was amazing. There were statues everywhere, some still upright, others scattered in pieces like bones forgotten in time. Buddha heads separated from their bodies, arms missing, faces eroded by wind and war. It felt like walking through a battlefield long after the fighting had stopped. This wasn't just the work of weather. These statues have been broken by hands, cut down during the fall of Ayutthaya when the invading army came, not just for land, but for spirit. I kept wondering how many people had prayed here, how many tears had fallen at the feet of these statues before the city burned. And now the prayers are gone, the people too, but the stone remains, waiting, watching, forgiving.
If you try here, you pray. Be careful.
Yeah, no, I
You
don't think I
never
will.
know about the car, the drive, the motorbike.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, sometimes people what they want, whatever they want.
Yep.
I drive in Pimai.
Chiang Mai,
Pimai.
Phi Mai.
Yeah.
Yes.
I drive around there.
That afternoon, our bodies, tired from walking among ghosts, were given over to the warm oils and quiet hands. The massage wasn't just for muscles, it was for the soul, a slow unravelling of everything we'd carried. After weeks of walking, climbing and carrying bags, it was heavenly. On our last night, we dressed a little finer and rode the elevator high above the noise of Bangkok, up to the Octave, the rooftop bar at the Marriott. The view wrapped around the city like a crown of light. It felt like floating on a river of stars. We sat beneath the open sky with a single bowl of chips to share between the four of us and one cocktail each, our little splurge. It wasn't much, but it was enough to feel the sparkle of the place. We were part of that world, if only for an hour. Then we left the marble and glass behind, stepped back down into the hum of the street below and found dinner more suited to our hearts and our pockets. Sometimes the best meals are the ones you don't plan. We wandered until we found something real, hot, fragrant, full of soul, and it felt more like home than any rooftop ever could. Our last morning in Thailand was slow and sweet. Room service arrived like a ceremony. Coffee, fruit, and bacon and eggs. We didn't rush, we just let the day rise with us. And there was a quietness, knowing that this was our last full day in Thailand. We wandered through Bangkok one final time, and we looked at all the weird and wonderful things that Thailand sells that we don't sell in Australia. We found a tiny coffee shop with hand-painted signs and kind-eyed baristas. I tuck those memories away like keepsakes. Bangkok has this way of surprising you. 1 minute it's chaotic and loud, and the next it's a quiet nook with jazz playing and a cold brew in hand. We went to Kin Kin on Sukhumvit Road, which I think translates to eat, but the crab fried rice, oh my gosh, humble on the plate but divine in flavour. It was one of the best meals I had in Thailand. It's funny how the grandest things can come so simply. Then we headed to the airport. Once you get through immigration at Bangkok, this amazing statue here of the churning of the milk ocean with the demigods and the demons cooperating to get the elixir of immortality is there. And we had some amazing Japanese food before we got on the plane back to Australia. And one last Thai beer for the road. One last meal, one last toast to the journey. There was no fanfare, no ceremony, just a gentle closing of a chapter. And just like that, we were home, back to wide skies and a little quiet world off the grid. The skies stretched wide, painted with rust and gold. The road home was long and empty, just as we left it.
I burned out like a wandering ember. I shone bright, then my journey was over. What I sought when I ran was back where I began. No matter the rain, no matter the storm, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Leave open the gate, don't turn off the light, I'm coming home.
Truffles, our dog, came barreling towards us, tail ablur, unable to contain her joy. She leapt and danced like we'd been gone a year.
Well, I scratched in dirt for a while. I gained all that I knew.
Hello. Hello.
In the end, what I found was nowhere